Good evening. Thank you for watching Once and Often. Joining me again today is the good Brother Genesis. I'm Jasmine. How's it going, Brother Genesis?
I'm doing excellent. I'm doing excellent.
Now, the last time we spoke about your time incarcerated, 23 years. We didn't really get to jump
Yeah,
into life after.
no, we really didn't. Um, during the time, it was a learning experience, but the best learning experience came from at the end, and then to my transition to being home. Like months before I was released, I was going. There was a lot of emotions that was going on. I have a daughter, and I never met until I came home. Never met her. Yeah, never met her until I came home. So I started communicating with her months before I was released.
Mm,
That was kind of different because I'm seeing a young lady who looks exactly like me, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So it was a lot of emotions going on with me. I was saying to myself, man, should I been there, or was it a good thing that I wasn't there because the way I was thinking? But like I said in the last interview, I was more concerned with the type of person that I was going to become after leaving prison. So I was focused on bettering myself and um, adapting to habits that would be conducive to living out here in society. And there was a situation where a young guy told me, hey, why you keep shutting doors? Or every time I turn around, you always cutting the water off in here. You don't have to pay the bills. But I knew in my mind that, hey, I need to shut some doors and I need to cut water off because if I take this habit home with me, it ain't gonna be a good thing.
So wait a minute, because you just said so much. So you come home after 23
Mhm.
years, you meet for the first time your daughter. So all of this is
Yes,
involved in the life after the readjustment, coming back into society.
yes,
So you have
yes,
to readjust to society while also being a part of your daughter's life that you never met. And so now you
yes,
have people
and
looking at you. Go ahead.
that was a whole nother level of understanding because in my mind I didn't have any children. So I don't know how it feels to have a son. I didn't know how it feel to have a daughter. I did not so to see this young lady and she a dad, even when she called me a dad, and I'm like, it's weird because how do you wake up one day and just all of a sudden you just a parent?
Right.
Now it's some things I have to say because I had to tell her, look, the person that you are today had nothing to do with me, had everything to do with your mother. And I never wanted to take away from that part because I seen some things of her saying, oh, maybe my life would have been better if you was here. I said, I'm not the person that you're talking to now isn't the person that your mom knew years ago. I was a hard head. I didn't care about nothing. I probably would have said some foul things to her back then because I just didn't
Yeah.
care. And I actually wasn't even raised that way.
You come home after 23 years. Now, how old
Right?
is your daughter? Or how old was she at the time of your release?
She, she's 26 now.
She was 22 at the time of your release.
Yes.
So you come home and you are now the father of a 22-year-old. You've never even met your own father. But now you have to learn how to be a father to a human being you've never met. And you're dealing with that. You have that on your shoulders. You have the world on
Right.
your shoulders in a sense, because now everyone is looking at you like, how did you get out? Well, and why are you out? And so you
Right.
have to deal with this scrutiny, because now people are looking at you like, but look at what you did. So how is it that you were able to get people to separate Demetrius from Genesis in this new society while also being a father?
Well, that was quite easy because I said that before I was released. Um, a lot of people say, "Well, you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna find a job. You're not gonna do this. You're not gonna be able to do that." And I kept saying, "Yes, I am," because who I am as a person, it will make you can't see nothing but me. You can't see nothing but Genesis. So family members and friends, when I talk to them and I have a conversation with them, they can't even make the association saying, "Hey, you used to be like this," but they know I'm still the same person. But it's kind of weird because they like this right here. I like Genesis. I like Genesis.
So now let me ask you this. So now we're on the grocery line, right? And we're in self checkout. You know nothing about self checkout. You're trying to figure out, how do I ring up this tomato? I mean, do I just punch in 1.99, or is it really 1.99 a pound? Like, how do I punch? So now you get discouraged and you're like, okay, wait a minute. Let me just explain to them, hey guys, I did some time. Are you ever faced with the question, if you don't mind me asking, what were you in for? Do you ever deal with that?
Yes, I'm gonna tell you, when someone asks me that, I always go like this. I say it, but it's a weird feeling because people are when it's almost like it takes away from me being Genesis.
Right, exactly.
That's
That's
how I
why.
feel
Yep.
because it's just like if you meet somebody and it's not my case number, just say you meet somebody and they just say, "Oh, what I did was I jumped through a window, I kicked through the door, and I killed 20 police." And but they're just so much of a nice person. You look at them like, have a good day."
Right, right.
So
So,
and so when people meet me and they get to talking to me and they, "Hey, you're a really nice guy," and when they do find out, it's like, "You did what?"
right,
But now when they know of me, it's like, "Oh, but you changed though, right?"
right, right.
That is,
Because see,
you change. Hopefully you change, right?
that's where the
That it
hard part
is
comes in. Because say for me, I met Genesis. I didn't meet Demetrius, right? I met Genesis. So I have to meet Genesis and take Genesis, at his word today, and disassociate you with Demetrius, whom I've never met. I met
right.
Genesis. So it's really hard for people to, make that disassociation, for the simple fact that even though you're telling me you're Genesis, but this is Genesis, unless you tell them your history, this is Genesis who were incarcerated for this crime. So how is it to make that disassociation while back in society?
Well, because I'm in that situation. When I meet people, I meet them, where they at. I see where you at. I don't care about what you was last week or last year, 10 years ago. I'm on my only concern is about who you are right now as we having this conversation. Because what you was 20, 15 years ago have nothing to do with the person that you are today. And the reason why I have that understanding because that's how I feel about myself, and I know that to be true. The way I thought when I was 20, I don't think the same way at 50 right now. That's 30 years ago.
Right, right. So now you meet a woman and you say, hello, my name is Genesis. Yes, I was incarcerated for 23 years. And then you get into a conversation and she's like, you did what? But, and you're free?
Oh yeah.
Why is it that you're free and this happened? You shouldn't be free. What words do you give her so that she can separate Demetrius from Genesis? Because she has to know the two are not one and the same. How do you handle that?
Well, I have had that conversation. Um, it even went deep into that because that individual was actually saying, "Well, you shouldn't even be afforded to even have any type of education out there because my children have to pay for education." And the conversation went sort of like this. You know, I've served my time. I say. if if you won't let me get past what I did 20 years ago, and this was a European lady, why should I let you get past what took place, what happened with black folks 470 years ago? Should I keep doing that?
Mm.
Because what happens is, if we keep talking about slavery, you say, well, you'll never get over it if you keep talking about it. So you can't get over the fact that I made a bad decision, and that resulted in someone losing their life. And I'm not saying never get past it, but I'm just saying, hey, don't you can't if you hold that on my neck, then I should be able to do the same thing you when it came down to slavery. And it kind of equaled itself out, and she left it alone.
So, what was your biggest fear coming out of prison? Was it the fact that, wow, I'm a parent, or what am I going to do out here now?
Well, I came home in 2020, and when I was watching TV, that's all I seen was people dying from COVID. So my biggest fear, and I got a chronic lung disease, and then
Right.
I'm looking at this dude Trump on television telling people that they need to start getting hydroxychloroquine, which is the medication that I used to use. And they stopped me. They stopped. I couldn't get the medication no more. They stopped serving it in there because they was like, we need to hold off on this because it was supposed to be a big shipment sent somewhere else, and we couldn't get it. So my biggest fear was coming home and catching COVID and dying.
Now you feel like I survived 23 years in prison just to get out here, get home, and possibly die from this disease that's spreading everywhere and we have no cure for, right? That was a
Yeah.
bad time to come home. But you come home and you have somebody face to face saying, "Hey, Dad," and who has the same face as you. That had to be filled with
Yes.
emotions.
Still can't. I really still can't understand it because like the story that took place, I kind of knew that I had a daughter out there, but it was so long ago, man. I'm like, she probably don't remember my name, don't know who I am.
Mm,
So but when I'm looking at her and I'm looking at me, I was like, oh man, where do we go from here? So I recently went to Virginia probably like 2 3 weeks ago. And I called and told her I was in town. I said, hey, I want to take you out to eat. Man, she was so happy.
of course, of
I was so
course.
happy. I was too.
See, I just want to take the moment to commend you for that. I was on the phone. I was in conversation with someone yesterday, and we were just talking about how biological parents will slack on their responsibilities and their duties. And you weren't in a position to slack, you just weren't there because of, your incarceration. But the moment, it sounds like the moment you came home, you knew you had to jump into daddy mode, even not knowing what to do and what that was like. It's still, that fear was there, but you knew you had work to do.
I look at things like this. Everybody is a student of life, and
Yeah.
no matter what age they're at. So even though she's 20 in her 20s, it's still much to be learned. Same thing with myself. It's still much to be learned. Cause
Yeah.
the universe, it's so much out here to learn. To think that I know it all, that no, it wouldn't be wise of me to even think I even knew as much as I thought I wanted to know. So, when I talk to her, I offer her some advice. She's in a relationship with a young man. I offer her some advice coming from a male's perspective. You know, so and what makes me feel good is she respects that
Yeah.
because I was kind of afraid to the fact like you ain't never been there, so why should I listen to you? But
Right.
she never have done that,
Mm,
and I appreciate the lady, the young lady that she is. That is something in her that won't allow her to be like that.
yeah. Wow. I mean, there's so much that comes with that. So I just want to give you credit for that, because not only do we have dads who slack off, but let's be real, we have moms who slack off too. And but people don't want to talk about the slacking moms. We always talk about the slacking dads. But you just made a wrong decision, which made you absent. But the moment you were there, you were there.
Right.
So even though you're states
Right.
away from each other, you're still there. She knows who dad is. She knows she can call dad. So shout out to you for that, and shout out to her mom for
Thank you. Oh
obviously
yeah. She did the hard work.
she did it, and she did it correctly, because whatever she did, she instilled in
Yes.
her who her father was, and she instilled in her, you're not angry with dad, just because of dad made the wrong decision at one point in time in his life. So shout out to mom if she sees this. More power to you, girl, and shout out to baby girl. Let's talk about when you came home and your fears. So families who are watching right now and they know that their brother, cousin, son, whomever is going to recently be paroled. What is the first thing you know that person is going to need?
Oh, well, obviously we know that they're gonna need some clothes, but the
Right.
most important thing, that person, yeah, they're gonna need some clothes. That person gonna need some time to adjust to you, the environment, because a lot of people thinking it ain't wrong, but you're not paying attention that this person has not been in society for X amount of years. They may not be used to you, you know, pacing back and forth in the house if that's something that you do. That may make them nervous. And you might say, well, I'm not going to stop doing what I do for you. Well, if you want this person to have a smooth transition, you have to be mindful that there's some things that this individual has been through that may cause them to not be able to function well around you when you're doing that. You just might can't. Recently, and I should have sent it to you so you could take a look. I'll send it to you after this. But it was a young guy. Now he ain't young, he around my age.
Young.
This man did 24 years. 24 years. He came home in 23. He had, like, you know how the young guys say, he crashed out. He what he did was he started seeing guys that he knew from back in the days that actually snitched on people, or they were just snitches. And he just kirked out and he went and stole the man's car, his truck. The man had his car in the truck. He's
What?
on the live. He went on live on Facebook with the man's phone, and he just started talking crap about the dude. I'm gonna tell you what happened to this man. What's funny is he's not used to seeing the so-called people we call snitches win. Everything is reversed. So he kirked out and said, "Man, I'm tired of this. Everybody that's the snitches, they get money. Everybody that's telling they got this, they doing this, they doing that. And the people that they consider being the real ones don't have anything." So he crashed out. He done went and stole the man's vehicle for 4 days on live on Facebook with the man's phone. People give my cousin his car back and do it. So you don't know, and I'm gonna send you that too when we get home. I'm gonna send it to you.
Ooh, I don't mean to
But
laugh. I'm sorry, but oh my God. Go ahead.
it when you look at it, you gonna laugh. You like, come on, buddy. You
So
done
so
did
hold on
24
a
years and
second.
you come home to do that?
So now that leads me to my next question. Do you feel like mental help is needed for a lot of parolees?
Yeah, yeah, yes, yes. I think, especially, I'm gonna say this: if a person has not went through a process in there of some type of programs, if they have not and come on home, they would need, they should need somebody some counseling to talk them through whatever's going on in society, because they don't know what this is. I tell people every day, Man, I can't wait to come on. Man, you don't know what this is out here. Yeah, I'm how many
Hmm.
women, man. Women ain't the same they was back then, man. No, man, I can handle. No, you don't know
Mm-mm.
what it is, and I didn't know what it was. We don't communicate
Yeah.
the same way. We don't talk the same way. Nothing is the same. It seemed like the world just said overnight.
Yeah. Makes me feel like, remember, and the movie I'm gonna get you, sucker. Remember when Homeboy finally got out of prison and he was
Yeah,
still wearing the fish? You know, my mom, you know, like you still live in
yes,
this world where you think everything is as is before you were incarcerated, but when
no,
you come out, the world has changed tremendously. So now you have
yes.
to readjust
Well,
to this new world.
one thing I haven't did yet, and I don't think I'm gonna plan on doing it. Uh, and somebody told me, they said, man, what type of clothes you gonna wear? I ain't wearing no skinny jeans. I don't care, man. You got, I
Thank
don't
you.
care.
You just said no skinny jeans for me. You knew you weren't gonna.
No, no. I wasn't a suit and tie guy, but I'm transitioning over into that, striving to go into that direction because I was a hard head young individual, and I never had a chance to wear that type of attire. I think that it's a serious issue with people not understanding the mentality of people who are coming home, because it's almost like you can't take hot water. You can't put your feet in cold water and then turn around and just throw it right in hot water. It's like a
It's a
spontaneous
shock.
combustion. It's a shock. So
Yeah.
um, I read, I can't think of this paperwork, but I read it was talking about institutionalization, and then it talks about prisonalization, and it said no person should be released from a level 5 or a level 4 facility straight into society. And then I'm like, but why not? And then there was a breakdown in the reason for it, because they said where they're at in that facility is the most dangerous people that they have in the system. And you're gonna let somebody out, even if they're not even doing the stuff that they're doing, but they're around it. You can't let nobody out, so it has to be like a gradual step down.
I need you to explain for the Jasmines the difference between level one, two, three, four, and five.
Okay, so you have like level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what happens is the lower the number, the lower the institution. So a level 1 might be a work camp. You can go outside, you go outside the fence, you don't have to be cuffed everywhere. And you might be working every day outside of the facility. Level 2 is, less security. You still in the fence, but you got more things. But the higher the level is, the less you can receive, and the more of the restrictions become. So if you're at level 4, level 5 prison, then 9 times out of 10 you're not really leaving that cell, but to go to eat, but to go take a shower, and may go outside for some rec.
So level four, level five is Rikers Island, San Quentin.
Right,
Ooh.
right.
And
Maybe
you
maybe
were
not.
level four, five.
I went to the 4. I never went to 5. Never 5.
Okay,
No, went to 4.
gotcha.
Never went to
Oh,
5. I said I won't
so
gonna go there.
that's I think that's important for people to know, just so that they can understand what a level four and five is. So level four is like you don't want to get to a level five, and level five is the highest, right?
Oh, I did. Right. So we had Sussex. Yeah, oh, not Sussex. I was at Sussex. Sussex 2 was a level 4. Sussex 1 was a level 5. Um, Red Onion and Wallace Ridge, that's, you got your 5s and 6. And I knew I didn't want to go there because the the people that was working there, the people that was they was killing brothers up there when they first opened, and it was so far away from, you know It was almost like at the borderline of Tennessee. So you had nobody to oversee those people there and the type of things they was doing to individuals. And I was like, at the time, I still was a hothead. I'm gonna run my mouth. I'm gonna say something crazy. So I made it my business not to go up there because I know it's something. I was gonna say something crazy to them folks up there. I knew I was.
What I find funny is that people who have never been incarcerated are almost just as institutionalized as people who have been incarcerated. So it's not like prison leaves you institutionalized. There are people who have never seen a day in prison walls who are still institutionalized, but for other reasons. And
Yes, yes,
so when you talk about this book that you read and how it talks about people being institutionalized from their prison experience and readjusting to society, there are some people who need that same help that this book speaks of, who have never seen a day behind prison walls.
yes.
Is that fair to say?
It's yes. It's institutionalization can apply to anybody. Let's say, uh, a officer, an officer who's been working in the Department of Corrections for 30 years. They locked up.
Yeah.
They got the mentality. They probably coming home with that same mentality. They probably treating children in the community like that. You,
Mm.
it's funny. How many times have you ever seen somebody bring work home with them? That's the institutional mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
They will use a term. Let's just say this officer, he usually or she usually close the shower hall and want people to get out. This person might want the child to get out the kitchen and say, "Yo, put your tray up," not realizing
Right.
it's a plate. So they
Exactly.
can get stuck in using those terms as well. When you look at people that's been in the military, they're institutionalized. They're gonna bring home the military mentality. You might see them to make their beds at the same way they made their bed up when they was in the
Right.
military. They come home,
Yeah.
they may sit here and put a plate and fold stuff the same way they did it in there. So it's not it's something that's easily to be understood.
Yeah.
Because if somebody that's in the military can do it, somebody that's in constructions can do it, then why can't a person that's been incarcerated bring home some habits from there as well?
It's true. It's true. I actually had a guy tell me years ago, um, as it relates to women, black women, and our hair. He was like, y'all only do that because you're institutionalized. And that was like the first time somebody ever made reference to me being institutionalized because of my decisions and what I wanted to do with my hair. And I never really thought about it that way. I was like, wow, that is really institutionalization, because it really does have you
Right,
in a way where you feel like you can't, this is the only way of life for you. So when you're coming from a prison
right.
sentence
It's hard
and
to
you're
break
now
away
you're
from it.
right, exactly. And you have to do that with no help, because no one is saying, all right, Brother Genesis, you're paroled. They're just saying, all right, bye. And now here you are out here in the new
Yeah,
world.
they started changing some things in Virginia. Like in the last couple of years, at first when you was released, they give you $25. You're like, hey, go on about your business, make it like. But what they started discovering was that, hey, I think that we should set up a system where we should start saving money for these guys and these women that's incarcerated. So when they do go home, they go home with something. So I know some people that came home to over close to $10,000 from saving money. Now, $25, $25 in this day and time, it can't get you a meal. Oh no, it can
Nothing.
get you a meal. It can get you
No.
some McDonald's.
Off the
Well,
dollar
I don't
menu.
know, man. McDonald's high too.
This is what I'm saying. It can get you something off the dollar menu, you
Yeah.
know.
But when you have somebody that's saying, hey man, I want to I'm gonna write a book and I want to publish it. By them helping you save money because they take a percentage out of your money that's sent to you from your family, and they put it away, and they take a percentage of the money from that when you get, if you working, you get paid, they set it to the side. So
Well, that's
that
good.
money is accumulating over the years. And you can actually, if you say, look, man, somebody send me $300, I would take 250 and put it over there. You can do that as well. So
Wow.
that is, to me, that's a big thing. And when you leave from there, they do give you a credit, they give you a card, a debit card. Now
Mm,
you have to get that money off there before the, it's like after a month, so after a month is no good to you. What we did
oh.
was I I didn't have a bank account at the time, and because the first bank I did go to was Wood Forest. I went inside Walmart and I stayed in the Woods Forest Bank, and I said, I'm gonna take my money, I'm gonna transfer it into there. And that's the first thing I had did. So I made sure I took all that money off that card and put it in Wood Forest.
Now, Genesis,
And
you you were fortunate enough to come home to your lady and your mom, and maybe your brother, some friends. Everyone doesn't have that. A lot of times in incarceration, your family and your friends will cut you off, and that's it. Some people are released and they don't have anyone. So, what do you tell those people who are released and they have nothing, no one, no resources or anything?
no, it's always resources. I ain't gonna say they have no
Well,
resources,
yeah.
because I'm gonna tell you this: the church is a resource.
Mm,
You can go to Goodwill where it has a resource center. Not all of them, but some of
right.
them have resource centers. They have the donation center, but they have resource centers. So because I knew that, once I came home, I had a bike. Now, it wasn't my bike; it was my queen bike. I jumped on her bike and I rode the bike all the way. I'm talking about a good distance to a Goodwill. And sat in there, filled all my applications, did everything I need to do. But the problem is, you have to have a determination to make it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to. I used to tell people, go to Goodwill. So what do I felt like what I look like telling somebody else to go to a Goodwill, and not only know what it looked like to go there. So I went. I built relationships with the people there. I had the individual that used to call me all the time. His name was John. John was like, man, you don't need this, man. Like, you know more than I know about this. I said, no, I do need it. Because I need the experience so I can tell somebody else
Yeah.
how to go through this properly. Because I'm going to send somebody in your direction. Because
Right.
if somebody need help and I'm not in a position to help them, I can send them to you because you are.
And see, that's
So
why
there is resources. You just you got to strip yourself of this pride. Because
right.
look,
And
if
a
I
lot.
had to, I go right up in the church, man. I'm not a religious person, but I go up in the church, and while they preach a sermon and they say something, I stand up. Hey, my name is Genesis Asiatic, man. I served 23 years in prison. This is my testimony. Da-da-da. I just give it up because
Yeah.
I feel like this: the person, this the person that displays strong characteristics don't need help from nobody.
Yeah.
You don't never go running helping strong people. You go
Yeah.
helping the people that's weak. So I'm not gonna go in there and act like I'm the strongest person in the world, and I know I need resources.
Right. Right.
I know I
And I
need
think
resources. So
a lot of what you just said is
go
so
ahead.
true because so many people are prideful and so many people just don't know. Like, I'm hoping that someone watches this and who never knew that Goodwill is a resource or never thought to use the church as a resource. Now they have two resources to say, hey, I have this loved one coming home, or hey, I know what to do when I come home. Because a lot of times those resources
Right,
are there, but people don't know. And people have to get out of pride so that they can help better themselves.
right. And I'm gonna tell you, it come from. I had to tell people. I said, listen, stop waiting for them to do something for you. Stop doing that because we get in there. If we get into those prisons, and we just sit and settle and wait for somebody to tell us what to do. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I wanted to get out here and do stuff for myself. So I seen people lay in the bed for hours and hours and don't get up. I'm gonna tell you this, and it's sad. There's a guy I seen only get up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. After he do either one of them, he go right back in the bed and go to sleep. So imagine this person doing this for the last 10 years. What you think they gonna come home
Right.
as?
Exactly.
Now, I got a question for you. When a person gets incarcerated, what would you like? What would you like to see them come home as? What does that look like to you? Like when a person get incarcerated, you say, "Hey, I would like to see people leaving out there like this."
For me, I would want to see someone, for starters, who has changed even the way they speak. So if I knew you before and you come home and you still sound the same, for me that's telling that you're not really that changed. Because when you speak to someone, that's very telling. A person can tell by the first impression of
Yes.
how much you know and how well spoken you are. Because that's going to be like that thing that's going to get that door open for you. If you can't even get the door open, if you can't even speak well, rather, how do you get the door open? That's the first thing I want to see. That tells me that maybe you did a lot of reading in there. That tells me that maybe you did some research. However, you got those resources. That tells me something.
What do you think that what do you think that you can be able to what do you think that you can put into a prison and make sure that a person will come home like that?
I
Yeah,
would think some books. I would think you would have to have someone, say for instance a therapist, somebody who's going to get in there and speak to them. Because if a person doesn't have anyone intelligent to speak to, they're not going to learn how to speak intelligently. And I mean, a lot of times if we speak this gibberish to each other, that's just how we're going to speak. We learn from each other. So if you have someone well
right,
educated who can speak to these people incarcerated, they're going to learn something. They'll learn a vocabulary word just by how it's used if the person when the person uses it. So those are things like that. You want somebody who can come in and speak to them. You want to provide books. You want to do those things, like for instance, you were able to get your GED because of what's her name, Miss Pam. So you need those things that are going to help you so that upon your release, I would think you know how to speak and use your words.
yeah. So me per se, I just think that they have to have more educated people in there. And what I mean, but I'm
Okay.
talking about people that's just certified educators.
Yes.
If we have what they call building, you have building managers. If you have somebody that has a college, not college, just a professor, and they're speaking to you in such a, they're not talking to you like, "Hey, stupid," or "You dumb."
Right.
They actually have. Let me have a come in my office right quick. Do you know what? And they're thinking they're educated to be able to teach you something
Mhm.
instead of trying to talk down on you. I'm gonna give you an example. So this officer asked me, he said, "Hey, why y'all don't listen in here?" I said, "Listen how?" He said, "I tell y'all guys not to sit on these tables, and y'all keep sitting on the table, sitting on the tables. You're not listening to me." I said, "Well, first, let's understand why we sitting on the table. Have you ever thought about that?" This is what he said. "Because I ain't got no home trainer." I said, "No, man." I said, "Real talk." So you really don't know why we sit on the tables? He said, "Man, I just think y'all just don't want to listen." I said, "There's a reason why we sit on these tables." I said, "Look," I said, "sit down on the table right here." I said, "If I went to go rush you right now, do you think you could jump up out of this table with your
Mm.
leg?" He said, "No, I probably fall over. I said the reason why most people were sitting on the tables is because put one foot on the stool and sit on the table is because of a situation happen. They can hop on their feet and they can be ready to defend themselves. So you and they don't never know when that time is gonna happen. And you keep telling people sit in the chair, but you're not realizing they just don't want to be caught in a situation like that. And I had to tell my queen one time because I still sit. You know how you sit in. I sit with my legs outwards, away from the table,
Uh-huh.
and that's just a habit. Cause that's what I would do. I have my legs out and I kind of eat to the side. It's just a habit because of where I was at. A habit that I'm striving to break right now. But it could be beneficial to you if you get somebody in there acting crazy in there, you get up out of there
Right.
quick. But that's where it came from. And so when I explained that to him, he's like, man, that makes some sense, but y'all still can't sit at the table. I said, yeah, but at least you just got to understand that why people are doing it. So
Right.
there's a lot of
Exactly.
things that people do that really would make some sense if you required some understanding about it. So having people that's educated, they will ask the question, so why do you sit at the table instead of making the excuse of saying, oh, you just don't have no own training is the reason why you're sitting on the table. Find out the why.
Right. Now, so with you saying that, let's just say we're speaking right now, and I'm thinking to myself, well, you've been home 4 years, and you still have these same habits. Why is it taking you so long to get out of these prison habits? So, what do you tell Jasmine,
But
who's
it's
asking, what's taking you so long?
well, the same reason why you might have to you got people that got the same habits you been having for the last 10 years. Or you've been getting up out your bed. Let's say this, you've been getting out your bed, taking a shower, putting your foot on the stool, and doing something. Try to start breaking that. It's the same concept.
Yeah,
And
it
if you're
is,
not,
and
a lot of times you're not mindful. I don't keep it in my mind. Don't sit this way. It's not on my mind until somebody bring it to my attention. So if I don't
right.
make a conscious effort to try to stop it, then I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna keep doing it. And to be honest with you, if I don't see that it is hindering my growth as a human, like me sitting like that, I don't feel like this is hindering my growth as a person.
Exactly.
You know. But if it comes disturbing to the queen, then you know what? That's something I don't mind, breaking away from. I don't mind breaking away from. But if I don't see it doing something, if it can't help me grow, if I know that it's not helping me grow as a person, then yeah, I got to get rid of that.
I want people to understand how easy it is to get into a habit and how hard it is to get out of it. Because somebody will look and be like, yeah, but you've been home 4 years now. You don't have to do that anymore. But this is habitual for you. This is a
Right?
habit because you had to defend
Yeah,
yourself. And in order for you to, be able to defend yourself, you had to be quick on your feet. And that's one of the habits you picked up, which is now embedded in you. So, and then you might find it useful because you some crazy knuckleheads. It's more knuckleheads on this side of society than it was
yeah.
when you were incarcerated.
You
So I want
you
people
don't
to
never know
understand
who
that.
you could be around.
Right,
You don't know who you're around in there. You just don't know. Like you could
right,
be sitting here, your barber could be a man, could have been a mass murderer. You don't know. And I like, cause you don't sit around and say, hey, what you in here for, man? Let me go see your.
right.
You don't. I mean, I know I didn't do that. It's people that I know that did that. Let me see your paperwork or do their investigation on people that was locked up. What I just did. So if you was my barber, well, I'm bald now. But back then I had hair. But if you was my barber, I wouldn't sit here and do no whole investigation on you because I just didn't care. I didn't care.
Do you really find that people come in prison and share their criminal stories with each other? I mean, because in my mind, I'm like, this can't be real. Nobody's telling their
Um,
business like this.
yeah, I'm gonna tell you what some. I don't know how true this really was, but people say I so I ain't saying their names, but it was a guy. I'm gonna just say his name
Don't.
was Preacher Man.
Okay.
His name was Preacher Man. Preacher Man walked every day with the Bible. He preached the Bible, And he used to have guys in his cell, and he used to preach to them. So it was said that he got somebody to confess about something that he did years ago, and preacher man ran and told some people about what the man did and got him sent to the feds. So, but there, the reason why I laugh because I had a particular person in my mind that I know it. It wasn't really that bad. Like he watched everything that went on in the block and went back and told people. But I kind of when you were saying that, I looked and I thought of this guy. I'm like, yeah, that was him. But I'm gonna tell you what some people do. Some people they get so comfortable. They don't want to be in prison no more, so they communicate with officers, and the more they talk to the officers, they feel like they're friends. So let's just say I'm into something I shouldn't be into. Oh, Genesis is making Genesis make the best wine in the block. So he goes and he gets drunk and he goes to this officer and gets talking to him. Yeah, man, I just got me some wine, man. You know, Genesis Jan done made the wine now. He got some good wine, and people run up in my cell the next day.
But
It happens.
right,
But
right,
listen, it happens.
right.
It really happens in there. Like, I told the officer, man, oh, he was a unit manager at the time. No, he was a lieutenant at the time, but the lieutenants they was making a transition to become a unit manager. So I'm telling him, hey man, I want a job. If you don't give me no job, I'm gonna start making wine and selling it around here. And he looked at me because I really felt like, hey man, I don't want to do this, but
Right.
I'm not getting no money from the streets like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to keep going to child hall eating this mess. So I gotta figure out a hustle. Um,
Right.
where Asiatic, where you can see right here, what name my company Asiatic Greetings.
Mhm.
Um, where that name came from is I learned how to draw, and I started making greeting cards.
Mm.
And I started selling cards, and that's where Asiatic greetings come from. So I have made some cards since I've been home, but my interest in making shirts and other things. But I do make some beautiful greeting cards that Hallmark would probably be upset if I started making those because I blow them out the water. What I was doing was I would make my cards, and I used to make so many of them. What I decided to do was give cars to other people in other buildings and give them a cut from it. So I know some
Mm.
younger guys that didn't have no income. I said, listen, man, hey, I give you 15 cards. You can sell, I'm gonna sell them for $1 a piece. You can sell them $3 a piece. Just get me $15. All right, and it
Right.
might be a soap, commissary, or some stuff of that nature, but that's what I would do.
Wow.
That
So
was my
so
hustle.
you that was your hustle, but you learned indoors. Like you learned while you were incarcerated how to what it's going to take to survive once you got out. So you stopped relying on people. You had to say, "All right, Genesis, you got to get to the bag. You got to get your mind right. You got to get to all of these things." And it sort of made it a smooth and easy transition for you. Even though that self checkout was a little bit of a
Right.
hardship, you were still you were still able to get out here and readjust back to society. So, what about
Right.
when it comes to work? A lot of, parolees or people recently incarcerated or recently released from their incarceration that I can't find a job. What do you tell them? Like, what are they for work? What do you tell them?
Um, that's I'm gonna tell you that this just being honest with the person that I am. I don't want to sound funny, but you can't stop me from getting no job. Not me,
That's you,
cause
right?
I'm gonna talk you out that job. Like when I was in there, I'm gonna get me a job. I'm gonna talk you out that job. I'm gonna show you that I'm the person that needs to be here working with you. I don't, because even at the job that I'm at right now, I talk to people, I communicate with people, I'm pleasant. So in my interviews, I'm gonna show you that I'm a necessity to be working with you. So I'm gonna, and I always stumble when I get to this because I feel like you can't stop me from getting in that position if I want it. You just can't stop me. That's just my mentality. I have. I'm gonna get there. Um, have I been turned down? I've been turned down from. I was looking for a job and print. It was a company that print um banners that go on the interstates. They needed some workers in the back area. So what I did was I asked them. I said after the interview, well, it was mid interview. I said, you don't mind me going on back and we take a look at the area, what we were working at. So he was pointing at the stuff that I would be doing in the job. So I seen a couple of young men. I said, can I speak to any one of the workers? He's like, yes. I pulled the young guy to the side. I said, how long you been working here? He said, 2 years. I said, do you like it? And the way the man looked at me, he was like, so I'm thinking, man, I killed this interview. I know I killed it. He called me back. He said, man, you, I can't give you this job. I'm like, well, what's going on? He said, man, look, you you overqualified for this. He said, to be honest with you, if I gave you this position in a year's times, you're gonna take mine. And I know you would take mine. He said, I ain't being funny, but you're gonna take mine because you're not a working bee. I'm looking for a working bee. I need somebody just they need to work. You're a thinker. You see things and you want to evolve with it. And you the next thing you know, you'll be sitting here, you taking my job. He said, because you know this stuff, you already know this stuff. And I was like, well, he said, man, don't, he said, I just need a person that just work. I need to work. But so you put me in any position like that, I'm gonna let you know, man, that I'm the right man for that position. And then I'm gonna show you after that. So someone coming on, if they don't have that tenacity to want to go get it, then they will have a difficult time of getting a job or maintaining employment.
Everyone doesn't have that. There's some are just ready to get back out to go smoke that black and mild on Big Mama couch, and so they don't know how to do what Genesis did, but they don't want to be in there either. So you have to,
Right,
with the life unit, the work that you do, the work that Chris does, and Kimbo, and all of these amazing organizations that people don't necessarily know about, you're doing this to help people and provide the resources to learn how to speak the way Genesis learned how to speak, to learn how to read the way Genesis learned how to read, to learn how to get the job the way Genesis had to get the job. There's so many people who
right,
are not there, and so you're fighting and fighting and fighting tooth and nail so that you can say, nah, young brother, you can do this. I did it, you can do it. And here you are now in a position where no one is going to look at you or even listen to you speak and say, yeah, I can tell he did time. No one is going to know that. No one is going to know
no.
that
I,
because you made that decision to do better.
so I was told, somebody said, why you keep telling people that? I say, listen, I want people to see that just because an individual serves some time, that doesn't mean that they can't be out here and be productive. They can't be out here
Yep.
and actually help other people get into other positions in life. And I want people to see, hey, just because someone did some time, that don't mean that they shouldn't have no job. That don't mean that they shouldn't have no position because we're no different than you. You just only one bad decision from being where I was at 4 years ago.
Now, why is it important that you give back to those who are coming out of prison?
Oh, because I know what it looks like not to give back, but I never known what it looked like to give back. And what I mean by that is I never seen the work after someone have given back. What does that look like? And I want to see it. I want to see what that looks like because the people that helped me become who I am, they know what that look like when they see me. When they see this interview, they can be like, yo, I did the right thing. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the same thing. I'm looking for the give back so I can be able to see somebody. I can say, hey, 4 years ago, he was this way or she was this way. And now look at him, I can smile. And I have one. His name is Ryan McNeil. You can check him out on any platform, Ryan or Deuce. He writes music. And when I tell you, this young man, when he was in prison, I used to go to his cell and I talked to him all the time. All he wanted to do is smoke weed and sit in the bed and joke and laugh, and he'll listen to me. But right now, when I talk to him, this young man has superseded the expectations that I had of him. He superseded it. He went beyond what I thought that he can do. So I want to continuously see that. I want to see that. I want to when I leave, if I could be a fly on the wall, I want to sit back and somebody just say, "Hey, I remember Genesis, man, and I am this way because of him. Because I have so many other brothers that I can say that for who helped me out. That's why I do it."
If y'all can't see how passionate this brother is about the work that he's doing, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it because you can only speak that like that from a place of passion, which really speaks to the work that you're doing. I mean, when I look at the work that you and Chris out in stores and speaking to the people and trying to reel these young guys in from to avoid being or experiencing what you experience. That comes with a lot of passion. Your words come with a lot of conviction. And if y'all don't understand the passion and the conviction behind his words, you're going to miss it. And this is why I think it's important because somebody's going to see this and they're going to say, yep, Lil P, you got to listen to him now. Don't listen to Demetrius. You got to listen to Genesis. And everyone who knows you from before and who sees you now, know your story and listen to the passion that you have for the work that you're doing now. It speaks volumes. And that's why I hate when people say
Right.
things like, oh man, you can't find any help, man. People don't care. No, there is help and people do care. What was the thing? People don't care how much you know until they know
Oh,
how much you
people,
care. Is that it?
that's it. That's it.
So,
That's
and
it.
when you speak, we can see how much you care. We can see that. And if y'all can't see how much he cares, you're missing it because you speak from passion and you speak with conviction. And I thank you so much. Now, I'm not going to hold you much longer, but I do have one question. I want to go back to the last video because when I posted the last video, a lot of people made comments, some of your folks, and somebody said something about Sweet Pea Whitaker.
Sweet Pea Whitaker is not my father. My father's name is Tony Wilson. That's my daddy's name.
Is he living?
Yes, I spoke to my dad probably about a month ago. I spoke to him about a month ago. We talked, keep in contact with him. His health is really bad. Um, he also, we asked, what's funny is that my father still can't read or write.
How old is he?
Yeah.
How old is he?
You know what? He's young. He's younger than my mom. He gotta be like 70. At least probably about 69. He might be like 60,
With
70,
the older
69, something
generation,
like that.
I mean, he's still young, but a lot of that really doesn't surprise me. It's unfortunate, but
Right.
it doesn't surprise me. But what's keeping you two from meeting? What's keeping you from embracing your father the same way you embraced your daughter?
Oh no, I do, man. Man, I talk mess to him. I joke him. I no. See that well, that's what's funny is because the same way she responded to me, I do the same thing with him, even though he hasn't been there, and I learned some things about him, like his brother is the one that reached out to me while I still was in prison. So his brother is really who connected us together, and so when I talked to him, I just let him know. I'm like, man, I don't have no ill feelings about you, man. I'm in my 40s now, man. I'm just trying to get to meet you, as a man. Um,
Right.
so I learned some things about him, his childhood. I didn't. His mom and dad had passed away when they was young, and he was next to the youngest, and they had to go living like in foster care. So he still was a teenager. My mom was still a teenager. So that's how they got separated. So he's going from house to house to house until his sister, Miss Brenda, that's why called her Miss Brenda. She was old enough to get custody of her siblings. And that's how they got out of that situation. So he had did some time in prison and stuff, and I kind of understood, what he was going through. Not to try to reach back and try to find out, oh, this woman that I supposed to have a child with, oh, this girl I supposed to have a child with, where she at right now. He didn't have the cognizance to
Right.
think about trying to go back and look for nobody. He can't even read or write. So I know how that felt when I didn't know how to do
Right. And
it.
that's
and
why I
and
wanted
they
to
still
ask.
talk to this day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Matter of fact, my mom just she just had text me a few minutes ago. I just seen it, but he had to tell she
Hi,
had a
mom.
stump on the ground. So she said that he told her how to get rid of like she didn't want a stump to grow back in the yard. So he told her about putting some paint on something on the stump. But they communicate all the time. All the time.
Mm. Do you ever look forward to the moment though where you can physically be in his presence?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, when I go to Virginia, I'm gonna have to make a conscious effort to go when I'm going through because he's staying in Williamsburg. So I have to make a conscious effort to say, hey, when I do have time to go out there, I'm going to see Pop. So
Yeah.
it's
And
going,
and
it's
that's
going.
the re-
I keep saying it's gonna happen, but time waits for nobody. And I can say, um, I'm gonna do it next time. And it's weird how things happen when you say you're gonna do something next time and you don't do it, and then the person is missing. So
right.
gotta
And
get on top of that.
that's why I ask because even though we are sometimes off of the topic of adoption and foster care, while you still have your biological father living, and I mean it's great that you guys have a relationship, but you're going to feel something. I feel like you are going to feel something different when you meet him physically and you embrace him. Just knowing and being in the presence of the man who's responsible for your existence.
All
I
right.
think that's very important because that same feeling that your daughter had and the same feeling that you had when you guys embraced each other, I get the feeling that you and your father will have that same feeling when you are in the presence of each other physically. Now, you mentioned something else. You said you started learning about publishing a book. Should we be expecting something from you soon?
Hold up. Why you? Can you see the name?
Yes, I can see it. They snitching.
So briefly, because it's something I want to talk to Chris about with this before I put this out there. It's something I got to discuss with him about it. But this is about being in prison. This whole book. I give you. Can you see what that is right now? It's a chessboard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see it. Uh huh.
This whole book is a chess game. Every chapter is a chess move. So let's say the first chapter is move one.
The right. Mm hmm.
So
Art poem.
as you go through your chapters, you're moving pieces. So this whole book is a chess game
I feel like the people will get something completely different from reading your story written by you.
because some of the stuff in here is real, and I think I need to. It won't come back on nobody. I just feel that you know some things it shouldn't be told.
But the last thing you want to share with those who are just trying to figure it out. I'm out here now. I don't know what to do. They're trying to figure it out. The last thing you would share, what is that?
Be patient with yourself, and what I mean by be patient with yourself, but I don't care what you're doing. Everything is synonymous with each other. Whether you're doing time, whether you've been in the military, whether you've been in a bad relationship, there is no extra time. So be patient with yourself. Be patient with your growth. Be patient with if you're exercising, be patient with yourself and pace yourself. Because for instance, if you're running a race, you're gonna get to the finish line. You're gonna get there. Just don't. If you focus so much on how fast you get there, you may never reach it. You may never reach it. And we living in a society right now that everybody is pushing their way of thinking, how they feel about themselves on everybody else. The goal is not to listen to them and to listen to yourself, because if you listen to them, you may not get nowhere in life.
Now I want the book. Like,
Why,
I
why
need
I
you to
can't give
have,
you the book through the screen?
I know. You need to go ahead, talk to Chris. Y'all go ahead and work that out so that you can get it. I don't care if it's Barnes and
Yeah.
Noble, Amazon. Get it out there because people want to hear your story. They really do. I promise they do. People want to hear your
One
story.
of the things I wanted to do, I am going to put the book out there. I'm going to just tell you now, when you pick the book up and you read it, you might be a little mad because you're going to read straight through it. You're not going to put it down.
I'm ready for the book. So, I mean, and your work is not done. You continue to work, you're writing, you're in the community, you are involved, and you know from your experience that your work is not done.
Right,
And so we thank
right.
you, good brother Genesis.
Thank you.